Oh my gosh, the day has arrived. This day is a milestone for the show and a personal triumph for me. Today marks the 100th episode of the How to Life podcast. Woo, it feels surreal. I would have never imagined that I would make it to 100 podcast episodes. When I began, I didn't have a plan really. Actually, I didn't have a plan at all. I had never even listened to a podcast episode, let alone know how to create one. At the time, all I had was a good idea to teach basic life skills so that I could help people out who were new to adulting. I had made a few YouTube instructional videos on some random topics that were mostly answers to the adulting questions that my own kids had. But one evening in February 2020, I was having dinner at my friend's house, and I was having a discussion with a young woman who had some questions about whatever situation was going on for her at that time. We talked, and I did my best to offer suggestions and try to help her out. And then suddenly she said, "You should start a podcast." I thought about that. Then the next month, the world stopped, and I had a whole lot of time on my hands. Like everybody else, I was stressed and I was worried. So I decided to channel that discomfort, and I learned how to create a podcast. I started out by searching YouTube, and I found Pat Flynn's free podcast tutorial. And then I enrolled in his course, and I did it step by step. And yes, I cried a lot of tears of frustration and fear, as does almost everyone when they find themselves in a new and uncomfortable environment. I was at the beginning, which is a place that I don't like to be in for long, but the desire to be better and to help others be better is what I focused on. It was a journey. It still is a journey. When I was discouraged, I took a break. When I felt like I was on a roll, I kept going. I had to overcome imposter syndrome, which is something that I still work on. I think we all do to a certain extent. I had to learn how to ask for help. I had to learn how to interview people. I had to learn how to speak into a microphone. I had to learn to be tenacious. And it all felt really cringy and embarrassing at first. I'm an introvert by nature. I'm a perfectionist. And it was all so hard for me. Basically, what I needed was to learn how to life in this particular area. This online world that I jumped into was completely foreign to me at first. So in this episode, I want you to know that we are all striving, learning, overcoming, and achieving throughout our lives. Everyone is. So don't feel bad if you feel like you're falling behind. But the good news is we live in a time where it is so easy to learn and to teach and to share. And I think that because of that, we have the potential to self-actualize faster than ever before. My whole platform is to make you feel okay about where you are right now and give you some information that might help you along. So over the last few weeks, I've been asking you, the audience, a few questions about where you are on your adulting journeys. 4 questions, actually. So by sharing the answers with you, I hope that you'll hear something that resonates with you, or that you'll realize that you're not the only one who's having some trouble at the moment. Or you might discover something that you didn't even consider, or you learned something unexpected. And of course, I want you to recognize and celebrate when you have accomplished something that you were afraid of. And I want you to be proud of yourself. Acknowledge that win. Ready to start? Let's start. Now, there were certain answers that came up again and again, so I have grouped those together. The first question that I asked was, what is one adulting thing that you wish you knew before you entered adulthood? Based on all the answers I collected, I would say that the number one thing that many people wished they had been taught or at least prepared for was finances. Here are some of the answers. I like this first one. This is from Allison. She's age 34. She's a solid millennial. And she says, I wish that I had learned the importance of money management and investing as early as possible. I wish I would have started investing a lot sooner. Yeah, me too, Allison. Me too. Teresa says, save money and participate in my 401k. I missed out on 10 years of not contributing to that account. Yeah, if you don't know what a 401k is, I have a great episode about that. I think that's episode 40. Mm-hmm. Joe says he wish he knew how to save money and make a budget. That was by far the most commonly phrased answer. Save money and make a budget. Number 2 was get out of debt. Episode 18 is about just this, how to make a budget. I'll link that in the show notes, of course. Sandy says, I wish someone had explained how money works. I would have done things so much differently and would be in a different financial place today. Sandy, that's a very powerful statement. It's hard to know all of this when you're in your teens or in your 20s, right? I mean, how can you possibly know how to manage money if you weren't taught or if you didn't have good role models? And of course, there are those who taught themselves or they caught on early, but the great majority, I think, had to find out the hard way. Okay, kind of along the same lines, Felix says medical expenses are really expensive. Be prepared. Yep, getting health insurance on your own or through your work, or even having some sort of medical savings fund. I actually haven't done this topic. This is something that I'm going to present for you somewhere in the next 100 episodes. Wesley says signing up for credit cards at age 18 is signing a deal with the devil. It can be that way if you don't have any information. But I just did an episode just last week. Episode 99 was all about credit cards. And I like that Reed Garcia, who was my guest on that show, says that credit cards are like a knife. They're a tool. A knife can be extremely dangerous and hurt you very badly, but it can also help you out a lot and benefit you. Diana wishes she had known about taxes before she entered adulthood. That's another topic that I need to do an episode or a mominar on, putting that on the list. Okay, this one is excellent. Jeremy says, I wish I would have learned the importance of finding the path you were meant to be on and working to be on that path. Yes, it is not fun to roam through life aimlessly. And there are ways to avoid it. I also did a couple of shows on this. Rather than mention all of these shows as I'm going through the comments, I'm going to link them in the show notes and I'll let you know if there's some content about it. Yes, there is content about this. Okay, so continuing on, I'm going to play a soundbite. When I asked this question, I gave people the option to just write back their answers or record a little blip for me. A couple of people recorded, and this awesome person that you're about to hear from was a guest on episode 49. He has a great podcast that shares the ups and downs of adulting, and I will let him tell you all about that. Here's what he has to say.
Hey everybody, I'm Justin Peters, host of The Struggle is Real and fellow struggling adultee. What is one thing that I wish I would have learned before entering adulthood? Aside from the plethora of personal finance tasks that I was unprepared for, I wish I would have learned how to take calculated risk. I get a lot of content around this all or nothing approach or burn the ships, but then at the same time, I don't want to be holding myself back as well. Analyzing risk and deciding which risk that I should be taking in my 20s was something that I had to learn on my own.
Thanks for that, Justin. You should check out his podcast, The Struggle is Real. He offers a different perspective of adulting as someone who happens to be smack in the middle of it right now. Okay. No one is going to save you. You have to do it yourself. That is Gwen's comment. And Gupta says, it's okay to make mistakes. Yeah, if you don't make mistakes, how will you learn? But our goal here is to try to minimize those or make them less painful. Another popular answer to this question was about protecting your health, physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Health is real wealth, says Adi. Trent wishes that he wouldn't have wasted money on drugs and stupid stuff that jeopardized his health. At least you know now. Lance says, I wish I had known that smoking was stupid. Hindsight is 2020, isn't it? And I like this comment from Dwight. Material things will never make me happy. I wish I would have known that whatever it is that causes me to be content can always be found in free things: good family, good friends, helping people less fortunate than myself, being out in nature. I don't think anyone on their deathbed says, I wish I had a bigger house, or I should have ignored my family more and bought more things. Thank you for that, Dwight. Okay, another popular response to this question was protecting your energy. Marcus says, I wish I had known that what people say about you says more about them than it says about you. Yep, that is true. People who are feeling good about themselves and are happy and content feel no need to trash others. It's usually a reflection of their feelings about themselves. Liz says, don't let others define who you are. When someone disparages you, it's about their character or lack thereof, not yours. Be comfortable in your own skin. Yep, that's along the same lines as Marcus. Nathaniel wishes that he had learned how not to let others get to him and ruin his day. Yeah, you have the power to control what you allow into your world. It takes a little practice, but it can be done. Ozzy says, give grace and ask for grace. Assume best intentions and act out of best intentions. Live a life of gratitude. I love this take. It took me some time to get to this point, but that's where I am. It really is a great recipe for happiness. What other people think doesn't matter if you like yourself. That's by Dustin. Agreed, Dustin. You have to be your number one fan. We tend to be our number one critic, myself included, but we can break free from that cycle and learn how to speak to ourselves with kindness and love. I have a wonderful podcast about that. In episode 70, it's called The Dialogue of Self-Liberation. It's such a good show. I'm going to link that one for sure. All right, continuing on. Gail says, comparing myself to others does me no good. Most people are just as insecure as I am. Yeah, and that's what this episode's about, to let you know that you are not the only one with your particular struggle or your particular question at this time. We're all in this together. So give yourself a break and give everyone else one too. Marta says, I wish I knew that there isn't a magic age number at which everybody starts treating you like an adult. You have to train people to treat you properly, and it's never too early to start setting boundaries as needed. That is correct. You can train people on how you want to be treated, and you don't have to be mean about it. Thank you, Marta, for that. Melissa says, setting healthy boundaries. Yep. Say no to others when you're busy. Choose yourself. That's from Dan. Yes. Self-care is not selfish, everybody. And finally, John says, listen to those who have some experience. Oftentimes, they've already been there, done that. Great advice. I know that's a hard one because words don't teach. Experience does. But if you have a mentor that you trust and your own gut, your intuition agrees with what they say, it's quite possible, it's quite probable that you can avoid some mistakes. And then Stephen says he wished he would have known how hard adulthood is because there's so much that he doesn't know. I think we can all agree with that. All right, my second question. What is an adulting issue that you're currently struggling with right now? The overwhelming response that we have not mentioned yet is time management. I have another sound clip for you. Here is what Jake Lang had to say.
Hey, Jake from theentrepreneurridealong.com here. I would say an adulting issue that I'm currently struggling with is time management and scheduling. I have a lot going on right now. I am managing 4 different websites, 4 businesses where I'm launching new courses. I launched a membership. I'm writing a new book. And now on top of that, I just adopted another puppy. My wife and I did. So now we have 4 dogs. And my wife is expecting. We are expecting a baby girl, our first child, due in July. So we're super excited about that. Now I got to figure out how to be a dad and manage juggling a business and a baby at the same time. So I'm feeling a little spread too thin. And I would say time management and scheduling, I am currently struggling with how to figure out what is a priority task, what is not, what I can focus on to both push my business and my personal life forward successfully. And how do I manage that time and all the projects going on?
Thank you, Jake. John says time management, prioritization, taking on too much. Diana agrees, time management. Sandy says finding the right balance for my life. Jeremy is struggling with the fact that time is moving faster than he is. He's building a company from scratch, working a job that requires 15 hours a day, and he wants to spend time with his family. Other struggles people mentioned were things that we previously mentioned: finances, figuring out your path, learning how to protect your energy by creating boundaries, making new friends, relationships, and how to ask for what you want. People are struggling to find better ways to communicate. If any of those sounded familiar, see, you're not alone. All right, the third question was really fun. I asked, do you have a super useful tip that might help someone else struggling in adulthood? There were so many answers to this question. I think I got the most answers to this question. I chose a few that I thought really stood out. And let's hear from Jake and Justin again, since they recorded their answers, and I just like using the sound bites.
I'd say my one big tip that might help somebody else struggling in adulthood is outsource to experts. Now, I do this all the time in my business. I have a team of virtual assistants, and I can outsource tasks that would be time sucks or just take up my time. I can outsource it to my assistant. That way we can work on our business together. But in terms of adulting, I also recommend outsourcing to experts. I'm talking things that would take up your time. You might just struggle with or might hurt your brain trying to figure out. It might be for you, maybe taxes, maybe legal stuff like wills. Maybe it's a lawn care, hiring an electrician. Earlier this year, I'd spent weeks trying to figure out how to install this light and replace this light fixture. And I was just ripping holes in my wall and ripping the ceiling apart until I finally just called up an electrician. He came over, patched the holes, installed the light in 30 minutes and cost me like $100. And instead I wasted weeks and weeks doing it. So my lesson learned is outsource what you don't know and what you're not good at. No shame in outsourcing. Have a professional do it. Save yourself the struggle, make your life easier, and save that time to focus on the good things in life, like spending time with your family or working on something that you enjoy and you are good at.
A super useful tip that might help someone else struggling in adulthood would be finding someone that is a step above you. I have found this super beneficial. It could be an older cousin or coworker or even a friend that is kind of one stride ahead. I found this really helpful. I have an older cousin who's been my mentor for the past decade, and he knows exactly what I'm going through, but he's been just a little bit ahead of me. So he's been able to offer some wisdom and insight back to me and help me kind of avoid some of the mistakes that he's made.
I like these two answers because Jake is a millennial and Justin is Gen Z. Are you Gen Z, Justin? He may be on the cusp. But I admire both of these men very much, and I have learned from them a lot. Here's some other tips that I thought were really great. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are parents and other adults out there who do want to help. That was by Sandy. Diana agrees. She says, be curious and ask lots of questions. Kaylin backs that up by saying, ask if you need an extension on your paper. If you need someone to clarify something so you can fully understand. If you need a hug. If you kindly ask for what you need, you'll be very often pleasantly surprised. Allison says, don't play the comparison game, especially on social media. Yeah, this is a lesson that a lot of people find out the hard way. It can be very bruising to the psyche. Don't do that. I like this one. Krista says, just add water to feel better. A drink, a bath, a swim, a water fight. Water can help perk you up or calm you down. This one is from Nathaniel. He says there is a lot of gender neutral clothing out there. Lots of choices and lots of fun things that look great on everyone, like basic t-shirts or jackets or shoes, even shirts and pants. Thanks for that, Nathaniel. Chris says, buy a plunger before you need one. That's so true. Make sure you have one and you have a good one. It's a terrible way to have to meet the neighbors. Jen says, learn seizure first aid in addition to CPR. Many people have seizures in their lives. Good advice, Jen. Gemma wants to share some EpiPen etiquette. Orange to the thigh, blue to the sky, massage afterward. It's good to know. Taylor said that you can volunteer for research studies at local universities. He got paid $10 to $20 an hour to speed walk and $15 an hour to record himself doing chores to train AI recognition. That is very clever and unique. Thanks for that info, Taylor. Haley has a tip on how to perfectly reheat pizza. Preheat the oven to 375 with the baking sheet in the oven. Place the pizza on the hot baking sheet and then cook for 10 to 12 minutes. Awesome. Okay, next one. If there is something that takes less than 2 minutes to do it right away. Get it off your list and free up some memory. That is from Miriam. That is a very good time management tip. I think I just mentioned that earlier too. Thank you for that. All right, Shelley has some job advice. When you're looking for a job, rather than list your skills as a category like customer service skills, break them down into all the things that category entails. It's more specific and the employer will know exactly what you can do. Sherry says, take care of yourself first so that you can help others. This is good advice. Ginger says, when typing an email, put an X in the address field until you are ready to send it. It will not send until you delete the X. This way you can double check the message for mistakes or make sure that you really want to send that. That is great advice, and that can be helpful in all sorts of situations. Thank you, Ginger. Angelica says, listen to your gut. Learn to trust yourself. We're always asking others for advice, but I always say, who knows better what's best for me than me? Aaron says, start every day by making your bed. You'll start the day by feeling like you accomplished something already. I would also like to add that I enjoy coming home after a long day where I'm tired and sort of beat up and see a nice, fresh bed. It makes me feel good. Adam suggests to move at your own pace. Going faster than you want can lead to mistakes, and going slower than you're meant to go in order to wait for someone to catch up can be really frustrating. Oh, here's a great one. Emma says, if a service dog approaches you without its owner, follow it. You could help save a life. And Michaela says, change the air filters in your home and car. Why, you ask? Well, I did a mominar on that. It will be linked. Good advice. With all the questions and the bumps and bruises we take in adulthood, it's easy to get pretty bummed out about your life, your situation, and yourself. I saw a very funny meme once that said, adulthood is the worst hood I've ever lived in. We have all taken some hits. It's intimidating, it's hard, but it's also so much fun. And it is so important to make sure you celebrate your wins. I think that one of the reasons people get discouraged is because they're looking for the big adulting win. That prestigious job, the perfect relationship, the perfect family, respect and admiration from your peers, reaching your goals. But those big wins are not what make you happy and proud of yourself when you get there. You'll be happy for a minute, but then what? You need to be happy and proud of yourself now, where you are right now. It's actually acknowledging and celebrating the little wins along the way that make up the big happy life that you're searching for. So this was the final question. What is one adulting accomplishment from this past year that you're really proud of? I want to start with Nathaniel and give a shout out to him. Hi, Nathaniel. I'm really proud of Nathaniel for learning how to make his own music. He had never done this before, but he felt inspired to create. So he set out to learn how to do it. He taught himself, and now he has created several different bands where he does everything, production and all the instruments. That is awesome. Great job. And I really like what Justin had to say.
One adulting accomplishment from the past year that I am proud of, completing my taxes without having to call my dad. I've actually been doing my taxes since I was 16, but I always have to give my dad a call at some point in time. But this was the first year I didn't have to do that. But shout out to my dad for always helping me.
You're ahead of me in that area, Justin. I always outsource that, but I still feel nervous about it. I think I'm going to learn how to do it myself this year. See, you're never too old to learn something new. Continuing on, John says that he got off his duff and actually started doing something rather than learning. Learning and doing are not the same things. Jeremy says, I'm really proud of getting debt under control and working toward financial freedom. Slowly, but still working. As long as you're moving in that direction, Jeremy, you are winning big time. Sandy started an online community for successful women entrepreneurs. Wonderful. Diana is learning new skills on her own. Jake wrote and published his first book. That book, by the way, is called Step 1, The Surprisingly Simple Process to Research, Validate, and Choose the Perfect Online Business Idea. I did a podcast where Jake talks about how he created that book, and he outlines the steps on how to find a valid online business idea. I'm going to link that in the show notes for sure. Brian bought his first home. Haley got promoted 2 times in 3 months. Woo, that's awesome. Kayla made the dean's list. Yay! Christine left a toxic relationship and moved into her own place for the first time in 10 years. Good for you, Christine. Christina moved herself across the country and got her own home. Well done. Diana got her first job, and now she can say that she has experience. Jill bought her first car. Eva moved out of her parents' home, went to university, rented a room in a big city, and has made new friends. Way to start life on a positive note. Great job, Eva. Melissa opened a savings account and got a credit card to build her credit. So responsible. Maeve got her foot in the door of her dream job, and she's now training to be a body piercing apprentice. Guys, this is so awesome. Meg took in a foster child. That is wonderful. Sterling moved out of his mom's house. Danny got her license and has been driving since September. Shelby made her first dental appointment by herself. That's actually a very big deal. It's hard to make a doctor's appointment by yourself for the first time. Wonderful news. Great job. Marco is now working in a job he's proud of that aligns with his values and allows him to pay all his bills. Well done. You said so many right words there, Marco. I like that you know that your job should align with who you are and what you value. I love the gratitude in this post. That was fantastic. Thank you. Aaron challenged himself to quit drinking and is 100 days sober. Great job. Keep going, Aaron. Holly paid off all her debt. Woohoo! That is awesome. Now you have all this money that you can tell it where to go. Keep up the good work. Good job. Josh started working out 3 years ago and is now a group fitness instructor. Congratulations. Lloyd has kept a tiny human alive and thriving for a whole year. I like the way you phrase that. Wonderful job. And thank you for being a good person and a great parent. Maddie started and led a Girl Scout troop. Lou has been keeping his house tidy and clean for 7 weeks in a row so far. I hope that makes you feel happy, Lou. Keep going in that direction. Great job. Hillary says that living a minimum lifestyle has allowed her to pay off her car and student loans, buy some land, and she is saving to build a home. That is very admirable. You're ahead of the curve, Hillary. Great job. Bobby is getting ready to apply for jobs for the first time. Good luck to you. Amy knows where all her money is going. Great news. Kim has made an active effort to declutter her home, and she's making money on Facebook Marketplace by getting rid of all of her stuff. Henry admitted to himself that he has a spending problem, and he is actively getting himself out of debt. You're doing great, Henry. Deanna refinanced her co-op. That's a very adultish word. Alyssa made a business out of home organizing, which is something that she already loves. If you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Rosalie is ordering a weekly veggie and fruit box to eat healthier. I like that. Mallory raised her credit score by 75 points. You're going in the right direction. Good job, Mallory. Douglas finally started college at 27. You're never too old to start college. In fact, you may be in a better position than a 17-year-old because you got a little bit of experience under your belt. Carrie took control of her mental health. Wonderful. Shayna decided to learn to become handy rather than be stressed out about not knowing how to fix stuff. Sophia is breaking the cycle of generational trauma so her kids can grow up emotionally healthy. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for improving our future. Catherine responded to the Social Security office on time. Ashley learned how to change a tire. Cheyenne started putting herself first. Vinny transferred his massage license to a new state so that he could start working again. That's called reciprocity. And if you have a professional license, oftentimes there are states that will accept your license from your current state. Sometimes you have to take a test again, but it's something you should look into. And Vinny, I applaud you for taking the initiative on that. Kara is halfway through EMT school. Renee learned how to fold a fitted sheet. Well, you beat me on that, Renee. Great job. Maybe you should make a YouTube video and teach us all how to do that. Rita negotiated a raise. That is very brave of you. Congratulations. Wonderful news. Julianne, cigarette-free for 71 days. Fantastic. Kaylee bought a new bed for the first time. She says, "It seems small, but I'm sleeping so comfortably now." That is wonderful. It's a choice that you got to make for yourself. You love it. That's a huge win. Great job. Monica is learning to cook at age 35. Never too old to start. Kai cleaned up the yard and made a beautiful garden that he enjoys. Amanda finished a half marathon. Woohoo! Tracy got a promotion and opened a 401k. She says, "I feel so adulty." Yeah, you're doing a great job. Bree's taking control of her health. Michelle submitted her first short story, even though it was scary. Blake called HR, which is the Human Resource Department, about a toxic work situation rather than quitting. And it's now a way better environment to work in, and he still makes good money and gets to keep his good benefits. Great job, Blake. Marie says that therapy has helped her recognize unhealthy cycles and habits. She's breaking free and creating new ones. And Ethan got an apartment at 18 years old. He found 2 other roommates to help with the rent, and he's now been there for over a year. That's awesome, Ethan. Great job. Great job, everybody. I want to recognize you and all of your accomplishments. This took courage and tenacity, and you deserve to have everyone listening whoop it up for you because this is awesome. Congratulations, everyone. Well done. I'm super proud of you. Before we go, I would like to share my answers to these questions with you. The one adulting thing that I wish I had known before entering adulthood is that student loans are something that can follow you around for a really long time. It's easy money and it doesn't feel like you spent anything. It actually feels free, but it is not free. I wish I would have taken out the minimum amount of loans. I wish I would have known that they were due soon after graduation. And I wish that I had created a plan ahead of time to start paying them back and paying them off as soon as possible. Something that I'm struggling with right now is trying to reach a larger audience. I am very grateful for the impact that I've made so far, but I really want to reach as many people as I can. So I'm trying to figure out the best and most focused way to do that. Here's an adulting tip that has made my life so much easier. I use the Reminders app on my phone for everything. I have all kinds of lists. I have a grocery list, a to-do list, a list for ideas that pop into my head for how to life. I have a reminders list, a list of questions that I want to ask my mentor about my business. I also use the Google Calendar app. and I put down all events and appointments that I have on any given day. There are so many thoughts that go through my mind every day, and I have a lot to do. And since I always have my phone with me, when I think of something, I can put it on the list right away. I'm always surprised to discover how many things that I would have forgotten if I hadn't put it down. And finally, something that I'm really proud of this year is this 100th podcast episode and how far I've come with How to Life. I began with zero knowledge about how to do any of this. I mean, nothing. I think I've done a really good job so far. I'm proud of myself. I'm looking forward to getting bigger and better. I'm going to play this little clip that Jake sent me because I appreciate his support in cheering me on. And since I'm a proponent of celebrating your wins, here it is.
Dr. Laura, congratulations on your 100th episode. That is amazing. You've worked so hard to get here and are so deserving of all the success you've been having. I'm honored and lucky enough to have been on the podcast twice. And I just wanted to say congratulations. I cannot wait for the next 100 episodes.
Thank you, Jake. I really appreciate that. 100 episodes in under 2 years. All of you have helped me get here. Thank you so much. I'm having so much fun with all of this. Whew. Now that this episode is coming to an end, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be taking a little break from this podcast for a few weeks. I need the rest and I need time to work on some other stuff. But I won't be gone entirely. I will still upload some Mominars on YouTube, and I'm going to be trying out a new social audio platform called Wisdom, which is somewhat similar to a radio call-in program, but it's on an app, which is on your phone. Essentially, I'll be hosting a talk, and if you catch me live, you can join the conversation, and we can have a live chat about whatever the topic is that I'm talking about. I think it can be a really good way that we can interact directly. So during my break, I'll be figuring out how to make the most of that platform and pick the best timing, etc. And I will put the link to my stage on Wisdom in the show notes. If you would like to join my email list, I will send out notices on when I'm going to be live on Wisdom so that you can join me there and we can chat. I've done podcast episodes and Mominars on just about everything that people answered in response to my questions. The content provides a lot of value, and at the very least, it's a starting point that may help you find your way. Look through all the episodes on the podcast player. You'll find something that'll resonate with you. Check out all the Mominars on YouTube. They are short, to-the-point tutorials on how to do basic life skills. And look for me on Wisdom. I'm excited to talk with you instead of at you. If you don't want to be all over the place, you can just find everything on my website, howtolife.com. Thank you for taking this journey with me so far. Thank you for being here to celebrate the 100th episode of the How to Life podcast. I'll be back next month. I'll be refreshed and ready to bring you more great interviews and instruction to help take the fear out of adulting. We are doing great. Let's stick together. We got this.